Great. Well, welcome everyone. We are so thrilled that you're here to join us to learn about Claim Your Future. This webinar, we're going to talk all about Claim Your Future and then give you some information and ideas on ways that you can use Claim Your Future beyond just the classroom setting. So that's something we've integrated into this session. My name is Mary Dyer, and I'm Financial Education Programs Manager at FAME. I'm joined by Steve Kautz, FAME's Financial Education Program Specialist. Steve is also a former classroom teacher, so for those of you who are joining us from the classroom, you'll be able to hear from him in terms of how he utilizes Claim Your Future out in the community and in classrooms. The way that we've structured this webinar is I kind of go through, Claim Your Future, what it is, what the goals of the program are, and then I turn it over to Steve and he's going to talk about classroom implementation. The wonderful thing about Claim Your Future is that it is highly adaptable. It's very turnkey, and you don't have to be a financial expert to present it and bring it into your school or community. So what we really love about it is its flexibility in use and audience, and it's really designed for you to take it and use it in whatever way that you would like and in whatever way your students or community would benefit from. So just real quickly, I'm sure that most of you are familiar with FAME, you're familiar with our work, but I always like to start off with just a quick overview of our mission at FAME and our role to support Maine people in their business and educational endeavors. We provide a variety of financial wellness programs and resources to help them do that. We have programs as early as K-12, resources that we offer for college students, adults, employers and their employees, and much, much more. So we're really excited for you to join us. If you'd like to learn more about our other financial wellness programs, we're going to zero in and focus pretty heavily on Claim Your Future today. But if you want to learn more, you can reach out to Steve or I. Lots of great resources on our website, and I'll probably touch on a few other things separate from Claim Your Future, just so you're aware. April is Financial Literacy Month. So right now we're doing a lot of outreach and information sharing at FAME to really elevate this topic in recognition of April as Financial Literacy Month. And so I will probably touch on a few more extra things to share with you. The first one being, for those of you who are working with elementary age students, one of the new initiatives that we've rolled out for the month of April is our Design Your Dream Money Contest. And this is a brand new initiative for this April. Again, it is a celebration for Financial Literacy Month. And what we are doing is we've developed a contest for students in grades 1 through 6. The contest launched on April 1st, but students can submit their creations right until the 30th of April. And we're collecting those entries. And at the end of the month, a team of us will be getting together and we'll be identifying a winning entry for each grade. So basically one winner in each grade, probably a few honorable mentions, because I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of great submissions. But we'll be looking at creativity and, sort of the approaches and individuality, things that, the student has put into the design. Every student will receive a prize. We're actually distributing a water bottle sticker to each entry. So every student is going to get something, and then the winner in each grade will get a Claim Your Future prize pack with a variety of items in a drawstring bag and a $25 gift card. And then also, I think the coolest part of the prize is we will be providing them with a t-shirt that they can wear that has their money creation printed on it, that they can proudly share. And I'm going to ask Steve to put the link to the Design Your Dream Money Contest right in the chat for all participants, so you can take a look at that. There is a template for the contest that we want them to use. So they'll be designing a $500 bill. We've partnered with the Alphon Scholarship Foundation with the goal of really promoting the Alphon grant, the $500 that every Maine baby, resident baby receives at birth. And so The template is there for them. They're going to mail the submissions directly to FAME, either through their classroom teacher or right from home. But we're super excited about it and think that it will be a fun activity. And we've already received several entries thus far. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun for us to take a look at those. Couple quick things as well. I don't have a slide, but I just want to call it out. When you go to the financial wellness section of our website, you'll find these resources. We've also revamped and relaunched our social media toolkit for Financial Literacy Month. It's actually a financial wellness social media toolkit that you can use any time of the year, but it's been revamped for April as Financial Literacy Month. And then we have a wonderful financial wellness blog that is authored by Steve that I just think if you haven't had a chance to look at it, if you go to famemaine.com, and Steve is probably feverishly sharing these links, which I appreciate. His blog is there, and it's really for educators and professionals and others who are interested in the financial wellness topic. And it does a wonderful job, I think, of providing sort of that personal perspective on money and lessons learned and tips and things to think about in a sort of common language that we can all understand. So we are thrilled that Steve has, I think, 15 or so. I'm not sure how many blog entries, Steve. There's quite a few, but we're nearing our 1 year anniversary.
15 so far.
Nice, nice. So on a whole range of topics. So we encourage you to check that out. And then each blog comes with a really fun cartoon, sort of, illustrating that topic. So check it out if you haven't. And I'm sure, like I said, I'll be sprinkling more resources as we go along. All right, but what we're here for, claim your future. So in the chat, if you could, just let me know, just a yes or no is all I need. I'm curious if you are very familiar with Claim Your Future, or you just, maybe you're somewhat familiar, but you've never generally used it or heard of it. So I'd love to get a sense of my audience. Again, I can't see you or hear you, but I just would love that. So I'm seeing no, somewhat familiar, not used it, not familiar at all. Wonderful. So that's really helpful to know in terms of where the audience is at. So for those of you who have used it, I'm going to apologize because I'm going to just, those that have responded, you're going to hear all about it as if it's brand new to you. And the cool thing is if you have used it, there've been a lot of new recent enhancements. So there are some things that will be new to you. So we're going to go over just in general, what is Claim Your Future all about? What are the learning objectives that we're trying to address with students when we present and use Claim Your Future? I'll give you an overview of the classroom game kit that is available to you for free to order for your classroom or your community. We'll talk about the online version and the resources that are available online for you to implement, and then recent enhancements to the program. And then I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and he's going to talk about the classroom implementation and, ways that he uses Claim Your Future. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. I'm going to skip that because I already told you who FAME is. So Claim Your Future, we created this program many, many years ago. I've been at FAME for almost 18 years. And in my early years, we had a version that we call Get a Life. And so really for really that entire time, we've had multiple versions and iterations of the Claim Your Future program. But a few years back, we revamped the program in its entirety, both the digital experience, the classroom game kits, and we renamed it Claim Your Future. So this is really a time-tested teacher built, because as I said, we've been using it for a really long time, and over the years, educators have informed the program to really enhance it and add new features, and we've added new features as recently as this summer. But essentially, we created it all those years back then to provide students with an opportunity to explore various career pathways, education, and financial decisions. We really want them at a young age, ideally middle school, to begin thinking about the return on investment of various careers and educational paths. And then a heavy dose of financial wellness built into the activity. Again, lots of enhancements over the years, but at the heart of it, that's really where it's at, to give students an opportunity to simulate their future life a potential career and an educational pathway, and give them a chance to kind of test out the outcomes of that before they really have to make those decisions. Now, as I said earlier, it's highly flexible and highly adaptable. It can be used with middle school students, high school students. We've used it with younger students in grades 3 to 5. We've used it with adults and college age students. It's highly flexible in terms of the age and audience that you're using it with. If you were to ask me what's the ideal age, that middle school is kind of the sweet spot in terms of when we want to kind of get this content to students and encourage students to start thinking about future career pathways and education. So middle school is definitely a prime time. But in terms of online usage, we see heavy usage in middle school and high school. That's just and in person with the sessions that we're doing, middle school and high school tends to be kind of where it's at, but highly adaptable both earlier and later than that. Claim Your Future was designed for usage here in Maine. That was its original intent. But as soon as we created it, we had educators from outside of Maine who wanted to have access to it. So the online version is available here in Maine and in any US state, and it's played in every US state. In over 90 countries. We're well over 1 million users since the latest revamp. And 20,000 students every year play in Texas, even though we're not in Texas and we're not promoting it in Texas. So it is a national program, but it really is focused, and the availability of the classroom game kit for free only exists here in Maine. Now, I have an exception to that in case any of you on the webinar have colleagues in the state of Illinois. We have a partnership with Illinois that they purchase the Claim Your Future kits for classrooms in that state. And so educators and other, educational nonprofits can get free kits in Illinois and play online through an Illinois version. But here in Maine, it's all available through FAME. But if you do have colleagues, I do like to mention that. So 100% free online, 100% free for you here in Maine. We do make kits available for purchase outside of Maine, but for you, which is what we're focusing on today, it is available 100% free. So over the years, we, certainly anecdotally and from teacher and educator and student feedback, we know that Claim Your Future is by far our most popular activity and outreach activity that we do in schools. Students really love the idea of, having an opportunity to, test out adulthood, spend money, make decisions. And it's this really cool wheel that they get assigned with a career, and the wheel spins and it reveals the cost of living on each item. So it's highly engaging, and students really enjoy it. And it's a session that we enjoy as presenters, but the kids and students really value it. So we've known that all along, but we wanted to really evaluate the effectiveness beyond that, just beyond our own experience and anecdotal and feedback that we get. So a couple of years back, we did partner with Dr. Carly Urban. She is a youth financial education researcher with Montana State. She does a lot of research across the country with the CFPB and other youth financial wellness, NEFI, the National Endowment for Financial Education. She's done a lot of youth financial education research and is really seen as the expert and leader in that field. And so we asked her to do a study of online Claim Your Future usage. So these results are very specific to online. We have not conducted a classroom study, which it is something that we've got on the list that we would like to explore because we think that the impact would be even greater in a classroom environment when it's teacher-led and instructor-led. But what we know is that the study that she conducted was on 30,000 users of online Claim Your Future. And so the first thing we found, which we were not surprised, it increased their financial knowledge, significant improvements in their knowledge. But what we were really pleased is we saw knowledge gain and we saw behavior change. They were more likely to indicate that planning for the future and budgeting is important. They were less likely after playing Claim Your Future to say that they were unsure about their post-secondary plans. And then they were more likely to indicate that they were going to attend some type of training or education after high school, and that they were also more likely to go to a four-year school after high school. So again, we were not surprised on the knowledge gains, but we were really pleased to see that there was behavioral change as a result of playing on Claim Your Future online. I want to just back up a little bit because this, may come to mind right now when we talk about the research and the impact. A classroom activity for Claim Your Future, you really need to have about 45 minutes at a minimum with the students. It's even better if you have more time. If you've got a double block, 80 minutes, that's awesome, but not a lot of educators have that kind of time. And so 45 minutes is kind of the minimum. So in terms of educational time, about 45 minutes is classroom. With the website, if the student is to go through the website independently, really quickly, they can get through everything in about 8 minutes. If it's instructor led and they're going through it more thoroughly, watching the videos, reading some of the definitions, really spending time, and the instructors are leading them through, it's about a 15-minute minimum. But I just want to mention that because when we look at knowledge gain, we're talking about a 15-minute opportunity. Now, what we haven't measured and would like to is down the road, a year later, what is the outcome? What is that longitudinal impact as we study students further down their educational path? So in terms of learning objectives and the standards that we used when we built Claim Your Future, so first and foremost, we want them to think about the ROI of their education and financial decisions. We really want them to start to weigh the cost benefit and all of the considerations when it comes to educational pursuits and potential careers. Most students that we encounter, even college students, frankly, have no idea what the salary is on certain careers or any career. They are very unlikely to know what the average is here in Maine. Even college students, when I'm in a group of with a group of college students and I poll the audience, do they know what the starting salary is for the job that they are pursuing? They don't necessarily know. So that's a big part of it. What are the careers that are out there? What are the average or median income that's expected, and what is the ROI of that if you're considering education and student loans and all that goes into that? We also want them to start, and that's why middle school is really important, to start by having early conversations about their goals and what do they envision for their future and how can we build aspirations through that. That's a big part of it. There's also a heavy dose, especially on the website, but in our instructional lessons around the vocabulary. There's a lot of vocabulary associated with higher education and college going, and that vocabulary can be daunting. And so we want to begin to have students understand, what is an associate's degree? How many years does it take to achieve that? What is a bachelor's degree? What are some of the basic terms associated with education and income? Taxes, insurance, savings. What does it all mean? And then a big part of it, obviously, we're working on a monthly budget as part of this activity. And so creating a balanced budget and emphasizing the benefit of saving is huge. The learning standards that we used when we built the program originally, we did look at the Maine learning results very closely for personal finance and economics and the career and college readiness standards. And then as we expanded the program, we did evaluate Claim Your Future up against the Jumpstart national standards in K-12 personal finance education. And so you'll find that it's well aligned with a lot of those standards. Claim Your Future is included in the National Jumpstart Clearinghouse for that reason, because it is well aligned with those standards, which are created by Jumpstart along with the National Council for Economic Education. I was going to say NEFI there for a moment. So I've talked about the game kit. Each game kit includes 50 unique wheels representing various careers. And these careers are very diverse in terms of their income levels, their educational attainment. We very purposely, when we selected the careers, we looked at high wage, high demand here in Maine. And we also wanted to have a nice variety. So you've got trades represented, you've got certificate programs, 2-year, 4-year, all the way up to doctoral level professions. We also have a military path. So, you know, a lot of diversity among the various careers represented. Available for download to help you implement. We've got an educator guide. You'll find lots of resources on the website, but in the kit, what you'll receive are the wheels, and then there's a cover letter. So this picture is a bit of an outdated picture because you don't get stickers anymore, but you do get the wheels and the cover letter. So just to give you a sense of what you'll receive in that game kit, and we'll provide the link when Steve is presenting, although you can do it now if you want to, Steve. I'll make sure you have the link to order Claim Your Future kit for FAME, right through FAME. Additional resources that you'll find on the website, we've got explainer videos, train the trainer, online game resources, lots of, you know, options and videos that you can use for implementation. And then as always, Steve and I are very happy to do a train the trainer session with you and your staff. If you've got a professional development day or, you know, other groups or organizations that you work with who might benefit from learning about Claim Your Future, we are more than happy to offer a webinar just like this or an in-person train the trainer for your colleagues and other folks that could benefit. So claimyourfuture.org, the online version. So the website is pretty cool because, you know, the wheels are cool too, but there's some things that the website does that don't happen in the classroom with the wheels and the budget worksheet. So first of all, there's 126 different careers on the website, which is kind of an odd number, but we had, you know, we had 125 and there was one we wanted to add in the last revamp. So it's an odd number. But on the website, you'll find descriptions for every single career and videos for every career. So you could use the wheels and you could also use the website as a companion tool, and you could show videos to your students of some of the careers that they've been assigned or they've selected. And we'll talk about that in a moment. So all of that's built into the website. Also, the key vocabulary, there's little question marks where they can hover over the vocabulary and learn what each of those terms mean. The other thing that happens is that rather than them doing the math on the printed budget worksheet that they use in the classroom, it does the math for them. So technically, I think if you were to use Claim Your Future with younger students, the online version might work really well for that because they don't have to do the math. It actually does the math for them. So depending on their literacy and numeracy skills, they may be able to you know, do better on the online version if it's a younger student or younger group that you're working with. Again, you'll find the additional resources, the printable budget worksheet, a certificate of completion, lots of great information on the resource page at claimyourfuture.org. I mentioned the educator guide. So what you'll find in the educator guide, a full step-by-step lesson plan. So it takes you through everything that you need to do to present Claim Your Future in the classroom, questions that you might ask, conversation starters, everything that you need for implementation. It also includes all of the game methodology, the sources and kind of assumptions that we've built in. One thing I didn't mention, you know, I mentioned that these are careers of median income in Maine. So one of the things that Steve and I do is we curate all of that data. So when you get a Claim Your Future kit, the salary is relative to the state of Maine. It's median income in Maine for those careers. The cost of living is reflective of New England because that's the closest data that we prefer to use. It's government level data. So we're using the Bureau of Labor Statistics to get the career and median income data, and we're using the Consumer Expenditure Survey for the cost of living data. So it's all reflective of where we live and makes it very unique to our state and region. Other things in the educator guide, in addition to the methodology, you've got, like I said, there's a budget worksheet, optional activities, a lot of web-based resources, and a full glossary of terms that you can use as well. Now, we have, as I mentioned, made several recent enhancements, both to the web version and the classroom game kit. And I'm super excited about these enhancements, and I'm giving full credit to Steve for a lot of these. And one of the wonderful things about bringing a classroom teacher onto your staff is they bring that firsthand knowledge with them. So we've done some great things, I think, to make Claim Your Future even stronger that we've added in just the last 6 months. Obviously, we did do a full update of the salary and cost of living data. It'd been a couple of years since we'd done that, and things have changed in terms of salary and cost of living. That goes without saying. So we did do that update. We also added the career videos, so that didn't exist before. Those videos come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics through Career One Stop, and we've embedded those videos online in each career. We also added a student loan. We've called out the student loan category. So it used to be that when they played online or they got their wheel and they started working on their budget, it automatically sort of calculated their student loan payment based on their career. You know, if it was high school diploma only, there was no student loan payment. If it was certificate, it was $100 a month, and so on and so forth. Now what we do, both with the wheel and online, is they have to determine, you know, do you have a loan payment? What is that loan payment relative to your education? And I think this is a really excellent enhancement because it makes that student loan payment and that process far more active than what it was before, where it just sort of happened automatically. It opens up a lot of conversation and learning around student loans, and it really kind of puts that student loan piece up front so that they understand this isn't your obligation, that, you know, as part of your education, you've got to repay your loan. So that's built in. The other thing that's available online is when they get to the end of the online version, they then see a comparison. So they'll see their kind of career that they selected, the choices that they made, and then they'll see it compared to other options. So they can sort of see where they landed compared to some other career options and decisions. So that's kind of a cool feature. The other thing that we did is we completely redesigned the back of the wheel. The back of the wheel used to have a savings and debt calculation activity, which we never really fully incorporated, I think, in an effective way. So what we've done with the back of the wheel, and this only exists in the classroom kit for now. It's not an enhancement that we made online, but we hope to. But the classroom kit basically has 3 categories of expenses or additional options, whether it's additional income or additional savings. And the budget worksheet accounts for these unexpected things that we've added in. So if you are using it in the classroom and you have some extra time, this is particularly common with high school students. They tend to kind of blast through that budgeting. There's not a lot of struggle with, you know, calculating their savings and, you know, doing the budget part of it. So you usually have a little bit of extra time. And the back of the wheel is really the opportunity where you get to throw some real life at them, where, you know, you've got some unexpected expenses, things happen. And so in that category, we've got car repairs, we've got an unexpected medical bill, a vet bill, or a replacement phone. So, you know, those are some unexpecteds, and certainly you can go beyond that and giving them other ideas. Then we have an additional savings option. We do have a lot of students when they play Claim Your Future who have a lot of money left over at the end of the month and say to us, hey, can I put more than 10% into my savings? Sure, absolutely. Let's do that. And we've got some categories for savings: education, vacation, home, vehicle purchase, things that they're setting money aside for the future. And then we have this wonderful windfall category, which is unexpected income, things like unclaimed property, overtime or bonus pay, maybe return on investment. They've invested some money and they're getting some returns on that. A yard sale. They've got a side hustle, you know, a job that they're working on the side. A subscription cancellation. You know, maybe they've gone in and cleaned up some of their subscriptions and have some extra money. So really excited about that feature. I think that it makes the activity more realistic and more practical in terms of what really happens to us throughout the month and at the end of the month. And it gives you something to add on for your older students that you're using it with. And then lastly, before I turn it over to Steve, some things that we are really hoping to develop further. We had started to do some of these things pre-COVID, and then sort of classroom-based opportunities, we kind of put on hold for a bit. But we're starting to see more educators and more opportunities to really go beyond just a teacher requests a Claim Your Future kit and they present it with their students. There's lots of other ways to introduce this program. One of the things that we encourage and we've tested out in the past is we've trained high school students to become Claim Your Future ambassadors, who then go to the lower grades and present Claim Your Future. So it's a wonderful peer-to-peer learning opportunity. National Jumpstart offers what's called a teen teach-in. It's underway right now in April, and they do it again in October, which is exactly what I've just described. You train and prepare your high school students to lead a lesson at the lower grades. And it just provides wonderful opportunities for the high school students to, work those skills. It enhances, because that peer-to-peer experience is much more memorable. And I think, really provides that engagement. Just a lot of benefits to the teen teach-in and using Claim Your Future with your high school students and younger grades. Family nights. So we this month, or March actually, did, play Claim Your Future with grandparents and their grandchildren. And that was great, to have grandparents work through. We assigned them a career just like we did the students. They worked through their budget and, made their spending decisions and did that collaboratively with their kiddos. And it was really a great approach. We've done it with parents and students together. Lots of ways that you can use it with families or adults. And then there's a lot of room, and a lot of educators are using it for independent projects. They will have students take any of the one learning, categories, whether it's careers, education, money, and they can really on their own independently do a lot of deep lessons and projects around any one of those topics. You could send them to, the Bureau of Labor Statistics to research various careers. They could interview family members or community members around careers. Certainly there's a lot that they could explore on education and money. So independent projects are another, I think, huge way to integrate Claim Your Future in another way. The last thing I'll say is we hope to tackle more next year, engaging advisors, substitute teachers. So I've been thinking for a long time, if I'm a classroom teacher and I need activities for my substitute teachers, Claim Your Future, as I said, turnkey and one that can be used relatively easily. Professional development days, that's another place where we would like to engage more schools around implementation. So just a lot of different things. Steve will probably touch on some more. I'm going to skip the online demo for now, and I'm going to stop my screen share. That's me in a classroom a very, very long time ago. I think my son is in that class and he's now 20. So just to give you an idea of how long ago that was. All right, Steve. So I am going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about how you bring Claim Your Future into the classroom.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let me figure out which screen I want to show. There we go. Okay, what I have here is an example that shows the Claim Your Future wheel for the game you play in person with the kit, and a sample worksheet. As you can see on the wheel, many of the things Mary pointed out, the career name or job title, the annual income, and so on. And the wheel, the inside of the wheel turns, revealing the expenses as you can see around the outside of the wheel, food, transportation, and so on, and the different amounts. And then what goes along with it is the budget worksheet. And, the mechanics of how to do this, the online on the website, there is there under the resources, there is an extensive educator guide. And the mechanics of how to do this are pretty straightforward. You can follow the steps, have students fill in the blanks, and then show them how to do the budget. But depending on the age group, the conversations can be a lot different, which is one of the great things about Claim Your Future. Ultimately, I see it as a decision-making exercise, sort of big picture, financial, literacy building exercise, where given a certain amount of information, for example, the career and the income level, the participants, the students have to make decisions on that based on that month's take-home pay. And depending on their age, may or may not already have some knowledge of what it's like to budget or to spend money or to make decisions, or may not have any connection to what things really cost in the world. But this exercise for all ages, I've done this 5th grade through college. Yes, 5th grade through college. And again, the conversations are quite different. The younger age, a little more time spent on the math, perhaps getting them started, making their budget and carrying a balance. Older students, maybe focusing a little more on those conversations about making tough decisions about rent, career, education level, choices, student loan implications, and so on. But again, adaptable to all of these different ages. I just did it with a bunch of 5th graders last week, and it was fantastic. And they know so much more that I think I give them credit for every time when I ask them, what do people make decisions about with their money? Oh, they come up, they basically fill out this sheet before we've even started, having some idea of what it takes to make these decisions about money. So getting into the mechanics of it, again, you can see on the worksheet, savings is right there as the very first line item. And that opens the entire conversation at all ages, the importance of planning for the future and saving. So why is that the first line? I let the students give their opinions and we talk about that. The very next thing, the student loan payment, which again is now a distinct step and a spot on the wheel. Yes, 5th graders, they take it more as matter of fact, but they do know what student loan is, most of them, and they do understand the idea that education does cost something. So some conversations with middle schoolers, much more in-depth conversations with high schoolers about what the student loan implications are to our budget, and then the connections are how to make good choices about education, saving for education, and so on and so on. And then the other expenses that are most expected, housing, food, etc., and different conversations with the students about those. So again, the idea of opening up, I try to get them talking, depending on the age group, with maybe I throw some words on the board, like I might write needs and wants, education, career, income, and ask them to make connections between these words. Show them how to do the exercise, take them through the mechanics of it. And ultimately, they're toward the bottom part of the page. They're gonna, after the extras, they're gonna have a bottom line. And, in terms of a game, not running out of money, in terms of an exercise, going through and seeing what someone can be left with, and if they're okay with that. And if not, they got to go back and change some of their decisions. Inevitably, the students will compare, and I want them to compare the different job titles, the different income levels, and the different education levels related to those jobs. And they will often, by the middle of the exercise, especially for middle schoolers, there's often someone who has a very high income who is renting space in their house to the other students who have lower income. But again, great conversations about what it means to have to live with roommates, the reality of making the housing decision, which is the most expensive part of all of our budgets. And going on from there, what does it mean to have an average food budget versus something a little more fancy? And can your particular job afford that in this exercise? The numbers are not exact, they're averages. Math teachers like when I also have that conversation about with students about what it means to have average numbers, that some will be higher, some will be lower. Really different conversation in the Portland area about housing versus some other more rural areas I've been to. When it comes to extras, I tell the students, you know, they should pick something from the wheel, but they may have an extra that is important to them that's not on the list. They're blanks for a reason. They can fill them in and put whatever they think their hobby or interest would be, and perhaps even negotiate what they might spend on that. Come to the middle of the page, a bottom line. What have they spent? What do they have left over? Knowing they saved 10% right up front, which is a great conversation in itself. And then time permitting with middle school students, I don't often have time to get to the bottom of the page, but I am going to show that. I am going to show that if I can back out a little here. Come on. Nope, it's not playing ball. I have to stop sharing real quick. Come right back. I'm going to show the bottom of the wheel where there are the other choices that we can make. And of course, Mary, you know how it goes. You get a frozen screen.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
want to do that. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to what I had. The bottom of the wheel is where Mary was showing the windfall, unexpected income, unexpected expenses. And on that part of the bottom, they can correspond with the back of the wheel. And you can, if time permitting, especially with high school students, I find I have plenty of time to do that. Talk about things that happen in life and how you deal with those things. You have to adjust your budget. Great conversations. A couple words just about the adaptability of this to adult audiences. Again, it's a decision-making exercise ultimately. Present it more as a game for younger kids, reality check for high school, but for certain adult audiences where having an introduction to financial knowledge, financial literacy, what these things actually are and what do they mean, what do they cost, and then promoting their capability by having them make decisions on paper in an exercise. So for adult audiences where, you know, going out on their own and making decisions might be new, either because of age or whatever situation they're in life, this can be a really valuable exercise to see what it's like to have to list expenses, make decisions, and then go back and perhaps change them and explore what other decisions may have to be made. What expenses are not listed here that would be real for you. So incredibly adaptable to various audiences. And there are lots of, again, tips in the educator guide on the website under resources where you can mechanically step by step go through it or learn how to come up with your own, you know, twists and takes that might suit the particular group of students you're working with. And as Mary said, always here happy to do demonstrations or come and train the trainer or visit a classroom and do it firsthand. And then the online version allows students a great exercise where they can pick their career and do a lot more. Most of the students, after doing it in person, really want to go to the website and try different careers and with different income levels and go from there. So I think I'll stop there, Mary, unless there's anything else.
No, that's
That
great. I'm going to share my screen, Steve, if you want to close out of that. I just want to go to the website real quick.
Yeah.
And as Steve said, and you may have said this, but when we are in a classroom, again, we have very limited time. We're not there, you know, usually multiple days or extended blocks. So we randomly assign, you know, careers to students. When they come to the website, they are randomly assigned a career, but they can change it. But to Steve's point, there's a lot of benefit to that random assignment because you know, time, you know, having them sift through the box and pick a career. There's only one of each, so you don't really want to deal with, I wanted that career, but I wanted that career kind of business. The other thing is it really gives students an opportunity to explore careers they may never have heard of. And it provides that wonderful diversity of income. So they kind of learn from each other. You don't stand there with a PowerPoint and say to them outright, hey, the higher your education, the more likely the higher your income and the more freedom to choose you'll have. Like, you don't say those words. They learn that on their own through the activity and through what their peers end up with in their results. So, there's a lot of value in that, but they can come back to the website after and choose over and over again. And I want to just take you there really quickly so you can take a look at that. So first of all, I bypass the pre-assessment. So when they first come to Claim Your Future, they'll be kind of forced through a pre-assessment. Again, this is data that we have access to be able to evaluate. It's not data that we can share with you because there's no personally identifiable information that we collect to then to be able to say to you, this student from your school played it. And that's just all legal requirements that we contend with. But in this case, I've been randomly assigned a physicist. I'm going to stay a physicist today because I'm not feeling like physicist level. So maybe this will inspire the rest of my day. But you'll see here, I've got my annual income. And again, if they hover over these question marks, they'll get some definitions. My annual income, my monthly income, but as you'll see on the wheel, we deduct taxes and insurance. So that's automatic off the top, but not student loans. So I have a doctoral degree. I've got the career video that kind of carries through all of the screens so I can, watch it depending on where I notice that and I want to learn more about it. If they click here, this is where they can select from the drop down. So like I said, I'm gonna say physicist for today. Here is where they'll see the description of what that job does. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And so first, right off the bat, just like when we play in the classroom, 10% goes into your savings. They don't get to choose that. It's just built right in. And again, their salary, their income, both annually and monthly, carries through, as does the career videos. So now I'm going to go choose my loans. And I've got to go and choose a doctoral degree. They probably might have questions about professional versus doctoral. So it depends on the, amount of years for their degree. Probably in the case of a physicist, they're in the doctoral realm. So I'm going to go here, which, yes, that's $2,575 a month. And if you're wondering how we came up with that, we took the aggregate limits, the total amount that you can borrow for federal loans, the maximum, depending on your degree level. And we did some, basic calculations to figure out the monthly payment. And yes, doctoral students do on average borrow about $250,000 in federal student loans. So that's how we built that. And each corresponding degree, you'll see that methodology in the guide. So then here they have the option when they hover or click on one of these options, they can see definitions for each choice and a description of it. So we often will get questions in the classroom with, I'm living with my parents. Why do I have to pay rent? Well, this kind of explains you need to pay some money each month for rent and, for rent and utilities. So each of these has a description. And I'm going to have my own home, because as a physicist, I think I can make that work. And then I'm going to choose my food. And again, they've got a description for each, food type. What does that mean? What does organic mean? What's included in an average budget? What's included in a gourmet budget? I'm going to overspend here. You'll notice as I'm getting close, I get this little alert up at the top. But I want you to see what happens when I overspend on my transportation. So I'm going to go low cost used car. And that's going to cause a pop-up. Do you see that, Steve? Does that? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go back, and I'm living in Boston and I have public transport. So I'm going to take the subway to work. I'm working at MIT as a physicist today, so it's going to be easy to get to. And then I've got my cell and internet. I got to have both because I'm a physicist. So I'm going to go with both of those. But again, descriptions for each. And then I only have $11 for extras. So I don't have any money for extras. So I'm going to skip extras. This is an optional category. They could pick one, they could pick all of them, but in my case, I don't have the remaining budget. And so this is my budget worksheet. These are my results. And down at the bottom, they can either save it as a PDF, print it, they can start over, or if you click compare, this is where they get the different comparisons. So check this out. You know, I'm a physicist with $112,000 a year, but because of my choices and my taxes and my student loan payment, this is giving them an idea that if I was a police officer or a carpenter, look at the money left over. Now, granted, in those two other scenarios, I'm renting with a roommate, and I'm buying average food, not gourmet. So there's a lot of decisions there I could have changed. But again, it gives them some context for comparison. So that is the online version. Now, if you're assigning this to students, you could have them print this as evidence that they have completed it. So again, there's a lot of ways to sort of assign this independently and then have them validate, you know, what they selected by just, you know, saving that budget worksheet or printing it. So with that, we are at 1:54.
Mary,
Yeah,
before
yeah,
we finish,
yeah.
with the audience we have, I do want to mention the summer course.
Please do, please do.
So I have, and you may not be in the Portland area, or your students might not be exactly, but you may know someone or another student who is within the Portland area, quote unquote, and wanted to let you know, in case you haven't heard, about our second annual personal finance summer course for high school students. And I'm going to put the link in the chat where you can get more information about that course, including my email and a QR code to register. But basically, it is a week-long, intense personal finance course for high school students. It's free, and it takes place at Waynflete School in Portland this summer. So I will put that in the chat. Please pass it along to your families, your students, or colleagues from other schools. Thank you for doing that.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone.